This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. 3 men will be spending the night behind bars following a large quantity of suspected marijuana being seized in the southern Bahamas yesterday. We're told that shortly after 9 a.m., the U.S. Coast Guard, while on routine air patrol, observed a speedboat in the Windward Passage in the Ragged Island chain. This, according to police press liaison officer Superintendent Audley Peters, aroused the officer's suspicion. And as a result, a joint operation inclusive of the U.S. Coast Guard, the Drug Enforcement Unit, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Marine Support Unit ordered a joint operation.
The U.S. Coast Guard vectored in the Marine Support Unit, and sometime around 5:30 p.m., the Marine Support Unit intercepted the suspected go-fast boat and boarded the vessel. A field search was carried out, and the officers found 55 white croaker sacks and 53 white croaker sacks and 55 brown packages aboard the vessel. A search was done of the content, and it revealed a grassy substance suspected to be that of marijuana. As a result, the officers arrested 3 Bahamian males, ages 63, 52, and 41 for possession of dangerous drugs and other related offenses.
The weight of the drugs and value is unknown at this time. Investigations into this matter continue. State Minister for Social Services and Urban Development, Lisa Ramming, says her ministry, along with non-governmental organizations, are pooling their resources together to facilitate safe houses for victims of domestic violence. The minister sharing this promising news off the heels of the murder-suicide that took place here in the capital on Saturday that claimed the life of young mother Heavenly Trevius and the alleged killer, Trevius' boyfriend, Fenron Ferguson, who turned the gun on himself and died 2 days later in hospital. Minister Ramming spoke with reporters on Wednesday following the annual parliamentary church service.
As it relates to halfway houses for these women, and of course we cannot expose where these places will be, and in the midst of that, we've already put together a task force. Urban Renewal has put together a task force. That task force will be doing an intense training on Friday on domestic violence.
Minister Ramming notes that everyone has to do their part to address the ongoing domestic violence issue in the country and not play the blame game.
Well, I know every time something tragic happens, it's so easy to face the blame or point fingers. And I'm going to say at this point, my ministry, we're not going to face or point fingers at anybody. What we're going to do, we're going to point at ourselves and say, what can I do more? What am I not doing? Or what should I do to stop these incidents from happening?
Within the last year, there have been a number of public stories about domestic violence. Here's the state minister's response about possible laws coming on the books as it relates to domestic violence.
There is a gender-based violence bill. It was pending for some time now. We're looking into it, because it has to do some tweaking. You don't want to just push bills out there. We want to do the right thing, and sometimes we're willing to amend. But I would say that in a few weeks or a few months, we'd be able to bring that bill before to be tabled.
Dr. Novier Carter from the Crisis Center, Dr. Eric Fox, and anger management consultant Mrs. Elaine Sands from the Gender and Family Affairs Division of Social Services, and officers from the Royal Bahamas Police Force are all expected to take part in a training on Friday, January 28th. Hundreds of thousands of face masks are set to be donated to schools across the country today, courtesy of the Mother Pratt Foundation. Founder of the organization, former Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Mother Pratt, says these donations came from private donors from the United States. These masks were presented to the Ministry of Education on Wednesday as schools across the archipelago resume face-to-face learning.
We believe that whatever we can do to assist with the fight against COVID, no matter how small it might seem, we believe we would have done something positive in our country. We are inner city, I call it, inner city foundation. I don't want to target it as that, but we believe that if we can reach out to many of these parents in particular who cannot afford to give the kids masks, they can barely give them lunch. And so if we can assist in giving each child at least 10 masks so that they're able to change them and not wear the same one, that is our objective.
Education Director Marcellus Taylor was on hand on Wednesday to receive the mask and give a few remarks.
Well, certainly the ministry is very happy to receive such a donation. Based on the calculation that I made, this is right here, 130,000 masks. That could really support a lot of students in being compliant with the COVID-19 protocols. And that's important because we don't want any encumbrances to students not being able to come to school. And of course, we've said from the very beginning with this pandemic that even though our core business is education, safety first. And so safety first, education always. And so, the fact that we are receiving this donation from the Cynthia Mother Pratt Foundation is really no surprise if you think about who Cynthia Pratt is. Ms. Pratt is a former teacher, a former nurse, and a former politician. So she understands the education component, she understands the health component, and she, having been a public policy, even actually acting as Prime Minister, she understands the importance of ensuring that everybody participates in the development of the country, and getting them to school and keeping them safe will ensure that.
Masks have already begun to be distributed to the family islands like Andros, Crooked Island, Mayaguana, Grand Bahama, and Inagua. This initiative has been ongoing since March of last year. The world's second largest cryptocurrency exchange, FTX Digital Markets, headquartered here in the Bahamas, donates almost $500,000 to climate change research at the University of the Bahamas. With the details, here is Austin Fernander.
Cryptocurrency giant FTX Digital Markets is making news yet again with its most recent act of philanthropy, a $240,000 donation to the Climate Change Adaptation and Research Resilience Center at the University of the Bahamas. The hefty donation was made on Wednesday at the Harry Seymour Library and Information Center auditorium. This donation will be used to aid, facilitate, and fuel the climate change research in the country. Founding director of the Carr Center, Dr. Adele Thomas, speaks to the importance of donations such as this one in the continuation of such necessary research.
I am very honored to be here this morning to share more about the Carr Center and how this most recent grant will contribute to its work. The vision of the Carr Center is to be internationally known as a resource for small island developing states and coastal communities that face the threat of climate change. We do this through comprehensive research and guidance that focuses on the human dimensions of climate change to ensure climate resilient futures for those of us that are most at risk. The Carr Center is a university-wide effort to provide high-quality and evidence-based support for communities, for governmental and non-governmental organizations, and for the private sector, to prepare for the risks that are presented by climate change and to address impacts in a holistic fashion.
Dr. Thomas also speaks to the ways in which the FTX grant will be used in support of Carr's research.
The FTX grant of $240,000 will be dispersed over 2 years to create the FTX Digital Markets Climate Change Commitment Fund. This fund will support research capacity building and programmatic outreach. The grant will fund a full-time hire within the Carr Center to expand its work in achieving our vision and mission. A smaller component of the grant will support programmatic outreach, such as public forums aimed at educating the university community and the Bahamian public at large about climate change and climate action. And we will also use some of the funding to increase our online community presence and develop multimedia materials to disseminate key messages and increase research and policy awareness. So you will be hearing a lot from Carr Center soon.
Valdez Russell, FTX's Vice President of Communications and Corporate and Social Responsibility, shares FTX's inspiration behind this particular donation.
Our commitment to addressing global issues must start in the space that we call home, the Bahamas. We recognize that climate change, issues around environmental sustainability are important for our country And as such, we have allocated resources to support the national institution in their efforts to research and identify the areas of national need with global impact for the Bahamas to be a leading voice in addressing global climate change as we continue to create a better world for all of us.
This donation is just one of many philanthropic initiatives the company has undertaken since relocating their headquarters to the Bahamas back in September of 2021. For Love 97 News, I'm Austin Fernandez.
And Cabinet Office advising the general public that the Bahamian flag is being flown at half-mast here at home and in Bahamian embassies around the world in remembrance of the late Sir Sidney Poitier's life and rich legacy. Plans are also underway to give further recognition to Sidney on his birthday, February 20th. Details regarding this recognition will be released at a later date. The Bahamian flag will be turned to full mast on Saturday, January 29th. Well, that does it for news this evening. Once again, I'm Leah Cooper. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.